first or second shift of the championship game, I take a penalty, scored on the penalty. We're down 1-0, and I'm like, oh boy, like what are we gonna do now? Now we're down like 3-1, and like our bench is just like no one's yelling at anybody. Like we're just sitting there like playing hockey. Like we just need a bounce. Like because Finland was actually, I don't know if you watched the game, but they were kind of dominating us for the first half of the game.
Yep.
Until like halfway through the second period, we just started to just pound them. Like, our coach has made an adjustment on like, because what they were doing, they were bringing it back with their D, and they were sucking us like kind of, because we wanted not to let them in the zone with speed, so we were kind of holding back. And once we pushed up like our D and our forwards so that they couldn't come in with like one seam pass, like all of a sudden we were just making them dump it. Like,
that was 2025 World Junior Gold medalist and second round pick of the Detroit Red Wings, Max Plante. And you are listening to the Up My Hockey podcast with Jason Podolak. Just watch me now. Welcome to Up My Hockey with Jason Podolak, where we deconstruct the NHL journey, discuss what it takes to make it, and have a few laughs along the way. I'm your host, Jason Podolak, a 31st overall draft pick who played 41 NHL games, but thought he was destined for 1,000. Learn from my story and those of my guests. This is a hockey podcast about reaching your potential. Hello there. Welcome back to the Up My Hockey podcast with Jason Podolak. I am your host, Jason Podolak, and we have a milestone episode on our hands here, people. We are talking about episode 150. Jeez, that's a lot of conversations. I was trying to do the math on that the other day. It's like roughly over an hour of per episode times 150. Like that's days and days worth of talking, which is so crazy, and so many amazing guests. And today there is another amazing guest. Now, this Max Plante character is following on the heels of Scott Niedermayer, Hall of Famer, Duncan Keith, Hall of Famer. So Max might have to make it the trifecta after his upcoming 20-year NHL career and join the Hall of Fame ranks himself. But it's going to be absolutely fantastic to talk to Max. He is just coming off a World Junior Gold medal with Team USA. Their second in a row, which is absolutely fantastic for them. And Max is from a hockey family almost like no other. I played with his father, Derek, in Mannheim with the Eagles of the Deutsche Eishockey League, the DEL. And his oldest son, Derek's oldest son, Zam, was actually born in Germany, I believe. And Zam has already been drafted. So he's the oldest brother. He's been drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins, I believe, 150th overall. That beat his dad, Derek, who was drafted at 151 overall by Buffalo. Derek, by the way, went on to have a great NHL career and also is still in the NHL coaching with the Chicago Blackhawks as an assistant coach. But I digress. So Zam was the first son born. Max happens to be the second son born, just won the gold medal. Fresh off the National Development World Junior program, is now playing hockey at Minnesota Duluth, which is also a Plante family stronghold. That's where Dad Derek played. That's where Zam is currently playing. Max is playing alongside his brother there at NCAA Div 1, which is super exciting. And there's another brother, a younger brother, Victor Plante, that is also a part of the National Development Team program. That makes three sons, all very, very competitive, aspiring players following their father's footsteps. So talk about a hockey family. Like these Americans, you guys, what are you guys doing here? We have the Hughes brothers. We got the Hudson brothers. We have the Plante brothers. I can't wait to get into what that ecosystem looks like, what that culture has been like within. Having dad as a high performer, having the brothers that are excelling, being the middle brother of two great hockey players. It's going to be awesome to dive in there to see what went on in that Plante household, and maybe we can uncover some secrets about how to add it to our own program. So Really excited about this conversation. I am doing this intro prior to the conversation, which is unlike me, but that's just the way that the day went. So this is an anticipation. I'm going to be as surprised as all of you are with what we're going to discuss and where the conversation goes, but I know it's going to be a great one. So let's get into the conversation with current World Junior Gold medalist and the 47th overall draft pick of the Detroit Red Wings in the 2024 entry draft, Mr. Max Plante. All right, here we are. The record button is going, Max. Welcome to the program, Max Plante from the Minnesota Duluth dorm. I love it. You're on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, no worries. Awesome that we could make this work. I don't know if you know the story, but you got to give Zam shit because your old man gave me his number, and I texted him, and he never even responded to me. And then you got back to me right away. So I said, Zam, you're gonna have to make the show before I try and reach out again. So you're one up on your brother already.
Oh, good.
I know you guys probably aren't competitive at all, right?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
We got a line down the middle of our room.
That's fantastic. So for those of you who are listening at home, like Max just put the camera that there's legitimately a line of hockey tape down the middle of their room. I'm sure that no one's allowed to go over the line. So that's fantastic. Just so for you, Max, and for people listening, Derek, who is Max's dad, played in Mannheim with the Adler, where I also happened to be for a season. So this might also, maybe you don't know, but Zam, I think, was born the year I was playing with your dad. So I think he was born over there in Germany. And then along came Max, and along came Victor, and obviously this is a hockey family. So really want to chat with you about that. It's crazy what's going on with USA Hockey now. These brother systems that's going on. But maybe we'll talk. I don't know, Max. Let's talk about when you first. Where were you born, by the way? Did I get that right with Zam? I think Zam was born in Germany.
Zam was born in Mannheim, 2004. But for me, my dad was playing. He was actually playing in the Asian League. He was in Japan.
Right.
And my mom, I was almost born there, but my mom came back right before I was born, had me in Duluth. But I could have been Japanese, I guess you could say. But
right.
And then my little brother, my dad was playing in Switzerland at the time. My little brother was born in 2008, so we were almost all born in overseas. But that's kind of cool fact about, I guess, Zam, that he was born in Germany, but definitely all American. We've done everything in the U.S. So
right, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and that's another one. So I went just for the connection between me and your dad, because then I retired from Mannheim. At least I thought I was going to. Went back to university, and then the Asian League pulled me out of retirement. I went to Panakamai. It was after my first semester, and I was like, really? I didn't even know there was the professional league in Asia. Yeah. And they gave me some good money, and I was always interested in Japan. So off I went, missed the second semester, and your old man was playing over there. So we actually played against him.
Really?
Yeah, a year later. That was the last kind of official professional that I had. But so we crossed paths a couple times. So you were born here. Your dad was playing in Japan. Yep. Was it hockey from day one for you? Was that what you wanted to do?
All that I could remember kind of was, I remember my dad at all when he wasn't coaching or in hockey. My first years I can remember, he was coaching for the Bulldogs. And I would just go to the Bulldog games, and I guess now I'm on the side that he was on with the team. But and then my grandpa was a high school coach. So I just go to school in Hermantown all the way up, and right after school we'd just go play hockey in the outdoor rinks. So
yeah, and you got some built-in players there with you, obviously.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Oh, and then another connection kind of is that I have 3 boys myself, and they all play. So my oldest was an 09 though, so just a year younger than your brother. But then I got a 2010 and a 2012, and so they're all trying to chase the dream too. So
what do they call them? Do they call them 010s or
just 10s?
Just 10s?
Yeah. That's 10s weird. And 12s. I know, right?
Yeah.
The hockey lingo. It's like you're identified by your birth year. It's so funny. Yeah. So when did you know that you were good? Were you good from the get-go?
I guess for me it was kind of my dad Zam was kind of his experimental toy, I guess. not like not in that way, but like he was doing everything first, and my dad always wanted like the best hockey for us to push us to get better.
Yeah.
And for my older brother, like the early tournaments when we are younger, like the Minnesota Blades are kind of the team in Minnesota that he tried to get us into. He didn't get Zam into that like fast enough. He probably could have been, but he kind of was like those teams. But then the Brick, which is like I'm sure you know the 10-year-old tournament.
Yeah.
Zam tried out for it, didn't make it, but that was kind of a weird year with the 04s. And then my year came around, like he kind of just wanted me to get into like the highest level hockey possible when we were younger. And so I'd already played like a year or two of Blades before that tournament.
Right.
So then I ended up making that. So that was kind of like that's the big deal for the young kids. Like
Yeah.
I still look back and like there's so many guys from that tournament that are like there's guys in the NHL now, like Celebrini. We actually lost to BC in the finals. He was playing defense on the BC team in that tournament. But yeah, I'd say from a young age, like it's always been hockey for me. But also growing up, like I was always kind of a little bit in my brother's shadow. Like he was Bantam before me, like making a name for himself. He was in high school before me. And so in Hermantown, I was kind of known as Zam's little brother a little bit. But
Right.
but yeah, I'd say all the way up, I kind of had like inner confidence that I want to be good, but also just trying to get better every day because obviously not the best.
Yeah. Is that something that your dad preached early?
Yeah, just like there's always kind of just like that there's always somewhere out there better. Like you could be in like this small little group and you're one of the best players there. But that's kind of what I learned like playing in those tournaments like the Brick or like any AAA tournament growing up, like Berkeley Catton, who's a first rounder. I remember playing against him in Winnipeg in I don't know, probably like 2018 ish.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like I thought I was one of the better players on my team. We played against him, and our team won, but he was like better than everybody. So like,
Right.
I went home and was like, yeah, that guy's good. I got to try and get to that level.
Right.
So that's kind of always been my fuel, just like, and I was always kind of smaller too, all the way up until like I'd say I went to the development program. I was like 5'5", 5'6" before that, but so yeah, that's kind of always been in there for me.
Yeah, and I guess like on the flip side of that, because it is like there's a bit of hysteria around like that Brick tournament, good,
Yeah.
bad, or indifferent, right? The
Oh
people
yeah.
that go there, everyone seems to have a great experience. It's awesome to be able to go there, but there's also a lot of insanity that comes around trying to get there, I think,
Yeah.
because like nobody gives a rip at your NHL draft year if you played in the Brick tournament or not yet, but it's
No.
like the most important thing for these parents at the time to get their kid in there.
Yeah.
What I want you to talk about is, okay, there is the Berkeley Cattons, right, who now plays in my alma mater, Spokane,
Yeah.
who was good then, is good now, will
Yeah.
probably be in the future. But I'm sure there was kids that you can remember at that tournament that are nowhere now
Yeah.
that were good there, correct?
Yeah. For sure. I
So
mean,
what do you
there's
think the
guys.
difference is with that? And what's the lesson with all that?
I think the thing about that is like it's just like every point in time there's players that are gonna be good, right? Like there's players then that were good then and they're still good now. They might not be as good as they were then, but they're still good now. And like I take Macklin Celebrini, like in the Brick, I didn't know like there was guys on his team that were like the stars, like the studs that were above him. They're still good players now, but like he was playing defense. Like I don't even know, like he probably on the team, like just like hockey and like because that team's tournament's all about politics too. Like there's guys that are better than other kids and stuff, but
Right.
I'd say a lot of it too is just like every day, like guys just trying to get better. Like, and if you're in love with the sport, and that's what kind of like came to me more when I went to the development program. Cause like in Hermantown, it was kind of just like I'm in the spot like up north of Minnesota and like it's all about hockey, but it's not like you don't see kids from all over the world and what they're actually like doing to get better. Like USA hockey and like all the other states are different than Minnesota in the fact that like these kids are individually going from like, is this team best for me in my development, and like what's in it for me to get better. So that kind of was eye opening me for me when I went to the program. Is like I'd always been on like the same team with the same guys all the way up from peewees or squirts to high school, and these kids had played on 5 teams while I was in that span, just trying to get themselves better. And that I think is a credit to a lot of like the parents and like if the parents can get their kids into the highest level or whatever best for their kid, I think that's huge. But for me, and I think the Minnesota model is the best because just the fact that you can be like comfortable and it's top tier hockey.
Right.
But yeah, I'd just say like the kids that so I kind of got off track there about like the kids that weren't as good then. Like I have a friend who's actually he's playing the USHL now, but he didn't start playing hockey until he was like 12 years old, which is 2 years after that tournament.
Right.
And he's gonna commit D1 soon, and like I just think like that kind of deal like doesn't matter really when or where. It's kind of like what you do with the opportunities you're given.
Right. Oh, I love that. I love what you just said there because you kind of said that there's positives in both, right? Like the
Yeah,
idea of the parents that are able to chase the best team and go to the best program. There
yeah,
can be benefit in that. But
yeah,
there's also benefit in somebody like you who can just stay in a good system, push internally, live at home,
yeah,
and be comfortable and just be okay with that. Like that
yeah,
can work too, right?
yeah. It can.
Yeah, 100%. Celebrina, that's interesting that you bring them up. So for parents out there, right? Here's this 10-year-old playing D that is now a first overall forward. Like the craziness with the parent community about like what position their kids play. And like I've had the discussion with my spring program, right? That no, so and so's this position. I just want to make sure that he's this position. It's like, well, he's
Yeah,
12 years old and he's not really any position yet. And if he thinks he is a position, then he probably doesn't understand the game well enough, at this point. And
yeah,
maybe he should try a different position, right? So, Macklin Celebrini, defenseman, maybe wasn't the best player in his team, but now he's obviously thriving, and maybe that's something to do with his old man because they're definitely wired in a development first mentality, I believe.
yeah. And also like another example of like that forward to D is I have a kid on my team now. Actually, there's two kids, but one of them he played forward all the way like through high school, even into juniors, and then he switched to defense in juniors. It was like his third draft year. Got drafted by the Wild, Aaron Pionk.
Okay.
And now he's having like almost a point a game year in the NCHC. So, and he's a defenseman now. So like he went from forward all the way up, and then decided like maybe I'll be better at defense, and now he's lighting it up at defense.
That's sweet. Yeah, I mean, for me, just from a development aspect, like I really encourage kids in that 10 to 12-year-old gap. It's like try stuff. Take a year at D, take a year at forward. One, I mean, you learn the game better. Maybe it's fun. Maybe you find something you didn't even know you were good at. And it definitely doesn't hurt you. That's something I tried to get my youngest to do this year. It didn't work out. I want him to try D, but anyways, maybe it'll be in his cards here somewhere in the future.
Yeah.
What as far as playing the game yourself and having the brothers, and we're talking about positions, did you always think you were going to be a forward?
Yeah, I kind of always wanted to be like my dad. Just like the way he sees the game is kind of how I feel like I see the game, because he watches more hockey and like listens to more hockey stuff than anyone I know, and it's not even close. Like when I was younger, I'd come home from like school. Well, first I'd wake up in the morning and we'd be eating breakfast and we'd be watching NHL Network, like highlights from the night before.
Yeah.
So that was kind of instilled into me. And then I'd go to school, come home after being at the rink after school for like 4 hours, and he'd have hockey on the TV. So like there was never a break for hockey. But that's the thing. I never was burnt out from it because he never like pushed on us like we needed to be hockey. It was just kind of around us.
Right.
And like, sorry, what were we talking about here?
We were talking about you being a forward, and then
and then
talking about your exposure to it.
Yeah, but yeah, the way I've always kind of felt it is like I like to produce, I like to attack, I don't like to like sit back and think.
Yeah.
I feel like if I did play defense, I feel like I'd like to say it's easy back there if you can think, because like you don't have to forecheck, you don't have to like do that, but like when you do make a mistake, like it's costly, and there's only so many defensemen that can be offensive defensemen and not play as hard in the D zone. And for me, I didn't really want to go through that because I have always felt like I like to not just score, but like set up teammates and create offense. So for me, I never really felt like defense was my spot.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. It's really cool though the way the game's evolved and how it's more 5-man units now. You know, guys
Yeah,
can come up and join the rush, and more coaches are are encouraging that.
yeah,
How was just from a personal family perspective? You know, obviously I know your dad, as I said. I know that he's got a smart hockey head, and I know myself in my environment with my kids. It's interesting as far as like the dialogue, the discussions, the teaching, the coaching. You know, who wants it, who doesn't want it. You know how that happens. Like, how involved was dad with your minor hockey, let's say, and how has that changed to you playing now?
yeah. I think for me, like he's taught me obviously more than anyone else about the sport of hockey. Like the way I play, I feel like I probably shoot more. Like he always on me about that stuff, but like the way I play is kind of I feel like how he talks and wants me to play. And the way he kind of coached me growing up was not like he wasn't like on me like yelling at me like you should be doing this or like all that he really cared about was that I was working hard, and then like the stuff he would do to make me or that would get in my head would say like something subtle like look at what your teammates do and it's so good, or like watch this guy and look at how he's like working hard, like why can't you play like that or something like that. And so that kind of stuck with me, got in my head, and then like so it wasn't like yelling at me, it was kind of like subtle chirps that would drive me and want me to make me better. um
Right.
so but yeah, I'd say growing up he coached like some summer league teams just because he was always a hockey coach for the Bulldogs in the winter.
Right.
Then he got a job with the Blackhawks player development, so he couldn't really coach, but he actually like he knows hockey better than like all the other dads and like stuff. So like it's hard for him when like he was coaching a Pee Wee team one time that was on, and like other dads were like disagreeing with him and like telling him like he can't do this stuff, but like it's different because these kids are Pee Wee hockey players and he's working with like he played in the NHL and he knows hockey so much more that like there's stuff above their head that they can't even like understand. So like
Right.
for him it was really hard to explain stuff to people and
Yeah.
like just like that aspect. So yeah, he hasn't really coached. He didn't really coach us all the way up, but he always loved coaching me and my brothers. And when I committed, he was actually still coaching at UMD. Um, but I didn't really want that like kind of deal in college. Like he's always been my coach and stuff, but I didn't want that like always favoritism towards him because it's his son. Like I never
Yeah.
really wanted that.
Right. Yeah. No, fair enough. Totally understand that. And as smart as dad is, right, it's good to have other voices too, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
that's totally a good thing to be exposed to other smart hockey people. What was your brother? So you said you were playing in your brother's shadow for a while, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it depends how you use it. That's one thing that I coach the players that I work with, right? The event is something, but it only means what you want it to mean, right?
yeah,
So, being in a shadow, it could have been motivating. It could have been something that provided a challenge. How was that for you in that environment?
yeah. I think for me, like I guess the fact that he's older would make it in his shadow. Like my age, I was still felt pretty good, but like in Hermantown, like he played. I'd say the year I was in Bantams and he was in high school, and he had like this was like the COVID year, and they played like less games and against like teams that were closer and like only in the conference, so they weren't all that good.
Yeah.
And he had like 3 goals every single game. Like it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And kids were like, "Where did this guy come from?" And like, so then the next year I moved up to high school, and it was like hockey was back. Like COVID wasn't like in like getting anyone in trouble or anything. And I played on his line, and they're like, "Oh, there's another one of them." And so for me, like I was kind of in a shadow, but my little brother, he's the one that's really kind of like been in the shadow where like now it's me and Zam, like we're doing everything first. Like Zam won the Clark Cup in the USHL. We both won a state championship for Hermantown. We're both already drafted to the NHL. And Victor never even like played in Hermantown, let alone like the Duluth area knows nothing about Victor. And
Right.
he's over here leading the nation in points, U15 year last year for the Mission. Make NDDP right now. He's got like almost a point a game. His U17 year, and like so for him, like moving from Hermantown where he was always good to Chicago and like experiencing like the different like hockey and like learning that like, oh, I can actually do something with this. Like For him, I think it was bigger than me. I'm just gonna go over his story a little bit, just because like
Yeah, I love it.
when he went his first year at the mission, he like didn't have a great year. Like he was always pretty good, but he wasn't super interested in hockey as much as like me and my older brother.
Yeah.
And but I mean, he was still obviously always good. But and then he went to the mission. The first year, he probably had like not a great year. Probably only like 10, 15 goals, like 40 points or something, like 60 games. So a good year, but like
Yeah.
nothing special. And then he hung out with Patrick Kane's dad. That was when Kane was in the Blackhawks. Every single Blackhawks game, he would sit with him and watch and like just learn from him a little bit. And then in the summer, he came back and he never really skated with me and Zam and like the older guys in the summer. And he pushed himself out of his comfort zone. He obviously wasn't like as good as everybody there, but he came into the year and I got to watch him play before I went to Michigan to play on the program.
Yeah.
And first game he had like 7 points, like 4 goals and 3 assists. And I'm like, what? What happened? And it looked like he looked like a man amongst boys. Like he wasn't like taller or anything, but like he was like faster, smarter, like
Yeah.
his hands were unreal. And like in just 1 year, like he was always good, but then that year he ended up their team won nationals with the Chicago Mission. I think he like led the whole nation in points. And then like that year his goal was obviously to make the NTDP. He ended up making it, and now this year he's having a great year and he's getting better and better every game. But
That's fantastic.
so I think that's an example of like people around you being good and like pushing you to be better, even though they're the ones getting the attention all the time. And then he
Right.
ends up being maybe one of the best.
Yeah, good for you. And that's a mindset, right? Because we can go in there and that same, well, not saying the same player, but like your brother could have went in there and felt inferior,
Yeah,
right? Felt like unconfident, felt like he was in the wrong spot, and it wouldn't have worked out. But if he walked
yeah,
in there and he was like, okay, I understand where I'm at. I'm going to push. I'm going to push. I'm going to push. And I'm not going to be worried about the results right now. And guess what happens, right? 4, 5,
yeah,
6 months later, all of a sudden he's a new player. Like that's a super cool story. Love that.
yeah,
And it sounds like, you mean, you're giving him props. So your old man was 161, as I know, as I'm sure you know that. I'm talking about the NHL draft
yeah.
now. Your bro was 150. You step up to the plate at 47. Where's your projection on Victor?
I don't know. For me, like if he's playing like the way he is now, like he's got I think like 11 goals this year. I think I had 11 my U17 year. He'd probably score like 20 this year, and then like the way he sees the ice, the way he plays, if he can be like keep getting better next summer, I think he should for sure be a first round draft pick, just in my opinion.
Woo, there it is. Heard it here first. Love it. Love
So
it.
I'm excited. Like draft year is one of the coolest things. Like obviously you don't try and worry about it too much, but like it's NHL teams like talking to you and like at every game, and like it's always a dream. Like just like you feel so young still, but like I don't know, like I could be playing the NHL this year is the way I
Yeah.
look at it, and like
It's
I'm
like
not,
this
but
close, right?
yeah. So like yeah, I just still don't feel like at the age I'm at, I feel like maybe like I don't know, it's so cool, but yeah, I
How do
think
you know what? I want to talk on that for a second because so you just did get drafted, second pick,
yeah,
Detroit's second pick, uh, and now you're playing NCAA, as a freshman, true freshman, right? Like doing well. Yet you're like this close. Yet
yeah,
it kind of still feels like it's a mile away. I'm
yeah,
sure, right?
yeah,
Like it's there, but it's like not
different
really there.
level.
Yeah. How have you started wrapping your head around the fact that maybe that phone's going to ring and maybe it is going to be my opportunity soon? How are you preparing for that?
For me, like I try not to look super far ahead in the future. Same thing with like when I was in high school, like when I was at the program, like I always tried to just take that year and do what I could with that year. Um, but like obviously, like the end goal is to play in the NHL, right? And when I but the thing is, like when I get there, I want to be ready. Like I don't want to be there and like not be ready. I think my brain, like the way I can like see the play, will be all right. But like I need to get like in better shape. I need to be stronger. I need to be faster. Because it's the best players, and you're playing 82 games when you're at that level. Like right now in college, like we're playing. Like I got hurt this year. I missed 10 games. I played 5, didn't win a single game. Went to the World Juniors, played 6 games there, came back. So I played. Like I've won more World Junior games than I played college games this year, just because like injuries and stuff. And I now we have 10 games left in regular season. So
Right.
like for me, like I'm not worried too much about the future right now. I'm just trying to do what I can this year, and then whatever happens, happens. But the only way for me, like obviously, like you look in the future, but like if I can go to the rink tomorrow and get better and do what I can do to get better just for the next weekend that I play, I think that's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. The one thing, and I'm not going to say this is the right way or the wrong way, but it might be something for you to think about. Just for me as a player,
Yeah.
when I was in the minors and doing well, and or at camp, and was right there making it, or I did get my game or my cup of coffee, it was I still hadn't wrapped my head around the idea that I'm going to be playing with my idols, right? With like the guys that I had posters
Yeah.
of up on the wall, and I just think that although I agree with the 100% with what you're saying, is like live in the moment, play where your skates are,
Yeah.
right? Like I think like that's a really good thing to do,
Yeah.
because it keeps you focused on what's at hand. I would spend a little bit of time about envisioning yourself being in that environment and being successful in that environment. So
All right.
when you do walk through those NHL doors, it's not like it slaps you in the face and you're all starry eyed, right? You
Yeah.
want to feel like when you're there,
Yeah.
you want to feel like you're supposed to be there. To your point, right?
Yeah.
You want to feel ready. You
For
don't want
sure.
it to be a cup of coffee. So I think a little bit of mental work before you get there might be something you might want to consider
Yeah.
trying.
That sounds good to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Just going to take a short break from the episode with Max to remind you all that there is an upcoming peak potential mindset project, which I call the guided mission. That means if you want to take your mindset and everything that comes with that to the next level, which is going to bring your game to the next level as a hockey player, then you can take my mindset quiz right now and get yourself in line to join the next cohort. We are currently into week 3 of the guided mission as we speak. There are 10 athletes in the program. That is where I max out the guided mission, and they are all thriving. They are all learning new skills. They are applying them to their game, and it is so fun to see the breakthroughs that happen. So if you are already a high performer, if you're looking for that next 5 to 10% in your game, and mindset is something that you have not officially covered in your development path, then this could be for you. If you are currently struggling mid-season and you want to amp things up for the playoffs and have a great stretch drive, then this is also for you. Getting ready for these training camps, getting ready for the postseason is always something that we hold in high importance. So either way, if you're coming at this thing from a strong mindset, from a position of from a position of confidence, and you're looking for that next level of execution, mindset is definitely the way to pursue. And if you are currently struggling and some of these intangibles are seem to be holding you back, and you can't find your way and you can't get things on the rails, and by all means, there is solutions for you. And that could be the Peak Potential Hockey Project guided mission. So again, check out my website for the mindset quiz. That's the best way to dip your toe in the water. Simple 5-minute test. The answers will come to me. I review every single test or quiz personally. And if I feel that you are a good fit for the program, I will reach out and say, hey, let's get involved, or let's discuss your results and see how we can support you. So, mindset quiz on the website. Check it out. We are going to be launching another guided mission shortly, and potentially you could claim a spot in the program. Now let's get back to the conversation with Max Plante. Talk to me, because you've called it the program. I want to talk in your World Junior, of course, but I want to go a little bit in chronology here. Zam never played for the ND for the program, correct?
No.
And is it the National Junior Team Development Program? Is that what it is?
National Team Development Program, just NTDP.
NDTP.
But if you say that, people understand exactly.
Right. Gotcha. So you're calling it the program. So we'll switch with the program. So what is that experience like, first of all? I assume there's a big tryout for it, and then you end up making this team, but it starts at what age? What's the first year you can make it?
First year you can make it. So it's every birth year. So I was 16 when I made it. So I was in 06. So next year it'll be the 09s. And you're 16 years old. Some guys are 15. Like some guys don't even have their license yet. And So it's like the first year you can play in the USHL, but they take the best Americans or the right Americans on the team. So for me, I never even like not knew barely anything about it being in upper Minnesota, and like my dream was always to play high school. Like I was like straight line like high school. I'm gonna play through my senior year. I want to play for the Bulldogs. I'll play after my senior year. Like I didn't even think of junior hockey. Like what's junior hockey?
Yeah.
But then like my freshman year, I was playing Bantams, and then my sophomore year of high school, I heard a little bit about the NTDP, but I didn't like think I would ever be like good enough, or like didn't think it was gonna be me for me. And then ended up winning championship, got an invite to camp. And like when I was there, I felt like out of place. Like guys were all bigger than me. Just like felt like I'm not good enough really for this level. Like obviously I always wanted to be there, but and then like the last couple games I started to get better and better, and I felt like I can do this like a little bit, but still didn't think I was gonna make the team. Didn't have a great tryout. And then after the last game, they make the team like during the camp, like they pull guys aside. So like I found this out after that, like everyone already knew on like Monday. I found out on Friday that I was on the team. But they pulled me in the office, and on my way there, that was actually my brother was playing on Chicago Steel at the time.
Yeah.
And on my way, literally walking, because like all the USHL scouts are there, because that's where they get the players. Like it's the top 40 or so camp. So like the next 20 guys that don't make it, like they're gonna be the first rounders in the USHL. And so on my walk to talk to them about making the NTDP team, USHL they can tender guys, which is like a first round pick. And so the Steel offered me a tender, so I could have went and played with my brother there the next year. And so I was like, all right, like I'll just do this. Like I'm not gonna make this team. Anyways, I walk into the office and they're like, "Are you in?" I was like this is the coach just in the hallway. Like I'm walking back to like the GM's office and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What do you mean? Am I in? Like, am I getting invited right now?" And then walked in the office. They give you like a paper book. You go home for like 3 days. Like talk with your family. Like, is this the right move for you? And before like I went to the tryout, I had to talk with my parents about the next move for me. Like if I'd want to do that. And for me, I've always wanted to push myself like past my limits, and like so I was like, yeah, if I make it, like I'm gonna do it. And ended up making it, said yes. Like the hardest call I made was with my grandpa, actually, who was always the high school coach back home.
Yeah.
And he was a big believer in like play for your high school team. Like you'll have so much time like later to get better and like through hockey. But I knew it was the right move for me. Like if I wanted to push myself and get outside my comfort zone, and learn new things from different coaches and different like stuff like that. So and then obviously like for me, like I think that's the right place. If you have an opportunity to go to the NTDP, I think there's no way you can pass it down. Just like the difficulty and like the hardship you go through, just to like get better every day and like push your body through stuff that like no one else, like I'm convinced no one else in the hockey world pushes yourself like you do at the NTDP. And I was ready for that. Like every day, like I'd get home from the rink. I'll just take you through a day. But
Love it. I was gonna say, give me some hardship. What does that look like?
so like even in this, like we go even at the tryout camp, like I was like, because I had a friend Ty Hansen who's on my team now. He went to the tryout the year before, and he's like, yeah, they're crazy there. Like we did this workout before our tryout scrimmage, and it was the hardest workout I've ever done in my life. And so I'm like scared, like, and he's like telling me about this workout guy who's Brian Galvin, who's a strength trainer, who's one of my really good friends now. But he's like, yeah, he's like crazy, dude. Like he's making us throw balls at each other, play tug of war, ride this bike. And I'm like all nervous going into camp. But anyway, after I made the team, we have like a summer, like three days we're there, 2.5. And we get there. This is like probably the hardest 2.5 days of my life. And it's like 100 degrees in Michigan at the time. And we get there the first day. And we're still not like U17 year. It's like kind of like military. Like they treat you like you're not like obviously you're special because you're part of 23 guys that are the best in America. So you feel like you're above. But when you get there, it's like they make you kind of feel like you need to get better every day and you're still not good enough.
Right.
And so we're like in the gym, cleaning every single weight, everything, every single bar, like out of the gym. We take it all out of the gym, grab like all this spray stuff to clean it off. We cleaned the whole gym, took like 4 hours. This was the night we got there. And then we're staying in a hotel, which is like in the parking lot right outside the rink. And there was like rumors, like we'd heard rumors about like, oh, past teams, they wake you up and you go on like a morning run or something. So like we're all kind of worried about it. But we knew nothing about it at the time. And then we get like knock on our door at like 4:30 in the morning. And they're like, put your shoes on, we're going on a run. So we walk out like the front of the hotel, and Galley's in his like golf cart, and he's got this horn, and he's like with the horn at like 4:35 in the morning. And some guys like just put their shoes on with like no socks, like they didn't know we were going on a run or anything. So guys had like blisters. We ran like a 4-mile run or something, and like we're hockey players, not all the guys go on runs and stuff. So the guys are like puking. We're at like a good pace. He's driving us in his golf cart. So that was the first thing we had that day.
Right.
And we didn't even bring our gear to this. Like, this is just like orientation, just to see like if you don't want to be here, like quit now.
Right.
And so then later that day,
Anyone quit?
It got warm, and then we have like this like 2-hour workout. He brings all the weights because we hadn't earned the gym yet, so we can't work out in the gym until like 1 week into the year, and this is still in the summer. But so we pull all the weights out and like do a bunch of hard workouts, and so it was, I mean, obviously one of the hardest things, like being so hot out, like I couldn't even think. They were like water is just like the only thing in your mind. Like I need water. Go on another run. Next morning we have like a relay with weights. Like we run around the parking lot with weight, like big barbell, like on our backs, but just crazy stuff that you wouldn't even think about. So it was hard stuff. And then, so I'm coming back home, like in the airport next day, I'm like, can barely move. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I want to be a hockey player. So then going back in the fall, I'm like, I'm probably like done with all that stupid stuff. Like, just here to play hockey now. I'm not gonna have to work out hard or anything. But like the whole U17 year, like Galley, like he's the man. Like he pushes you. Like you go on the ice for 2 hours, and you're like, I just worked my butt off for 2 hours on the rink, and now I got to go in the gym for another hour and a half and push myself past my limit. And then after you get in the gym, you're like, I got to just stuff myself because I got to gain weight, I got to grow. And so it was like a daily routine. Like every day I was just waking up in the morning, going to the rink, shoot pucks, go to the rink, skate. We have a little school because obviously we're in high school, so we still got to do schoolwork. But then like, I think the workout was the biggest thing for me. Like I'd never really worked out until that year, which I guess I'd never really like kind of needed to, just like the way I played, like I was still growing and stuff, but it was like the perfect mix for me. Like it was right when I started to grow, right when I started to work out, and I gained my 2 years of the program. I gained like, I was like 5'6" or 5'5" at 127 at the tryout camp.
Wow.
And when I came out like this summer, I was 5'11", 180. So like gained like 50 pounds and however many, like 5 inches or whatever.
Right.
But so obviously, like for me, it's a really special place, and there's no other way you can manufacture going to work every day and like hardening your mind. So
right. Wow. I
and
love
plus
that story.
you're going through all this first stuff with all the guys that are the same age that have never done anything like this before. And plus your U17 year, like my little brother's team, they've won 2 USHL games this year. Like you go through hardship, like you don't win every game, everyone's better than you. And so it puts you through stuff that like, I don't know, like, and are all the best too. So like iron sharpens iron, like you all heard that saying, and I totally agree with it. Like you can have a day, like this is one story I try to tell people, like James Hagen's like projected, like he's going to go like for one of the first overall. He could have a day that like he doesn't want to show up to the rink and get better. And then there's another guy, like they'll show up like Teddy Steger, like Christian Epperson, who can show up that day and just be better. Like there's other places you go and like you're just the best every single day, and like you don't maybe have to push yourself, but like that's what my take on like why the program makes players the best.
Right. Right. Yeah, because you're seeing it right there in front of you that there's someone else right there that's
Yeah,
like nipping at your heels, right? Or is better than
yeah.
you on that day.
Like that's an example. Like Austin Bernovic, my U17 year, he got cut. Like didn't even make his U18 Worlds team. Like called guys up, sent him down, and now this year he was on first power play at the World Juniors, winning a gold medal. Like you think like in a snapshot in time, like these guys are all way better. Like these guys, like there's guys around like you could be in a better spot. But like I think once you get out of it, you realize like how special and like you really are getting better there.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I mean, I'm sure there's immense amount of gratitude, opportunity. Like you're saying, you're with the best 23 at the time, and you're in this environment that is really, really pushing you,
Yeah.
You mentioned that they were almost trying to make people quit. Did anyone quit in your year?
My year, no. I mean, I'm sure like guys thought about it, like guys wanted to, but they realized like if you go somewhere, you're gonna like miss being with these guys that you're going through this stuff. You're gonna miss like for me, like coming out of that program, I wish I was still going through that stuff, even how hard it was. Like, I'd
Yeah.
come home after a day, like I'd always like to be at the rink as much as I could, just because like kind of like my favorite spot to be. But like I'd probably come home at like 5:30. I'd go to the rink at like 7:30, and I'd come home and I'd literally just sit on the couch, wait for dinner, eat dinner, go back sit on the couch, and then be asleep at like 9 o'clock. Like I was just worn out every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so why is there value in that?
Because like I don't know, like that's training your mind like to be a pro, I guess. Like you put your body through stuff that you don't always want to do, and like there's days that where you just love it. Like you want to be back at the rink, especially when you're winning games. And our team is fortunate to win a lot our younger year, which not a lot of teams do. Like I mentioned, like my little brother's team, like they're really struggling, like not winning a lot of games. But for them, like that adversity, 100% they're gonna come into next year like super hungry, super like motivated to come in and prove that they're a better team. So,
Right.
but yeah, like there's definitely times like I'd be sitting there like tomorrow, like I don't really need to like go work, but for me, like there's kind of like a blockage to like not let that happen, like because I know that when I fall asleep at night, I won't like let myself like get away with it. So
Yeah. I love that. That's the mindset. That's the piece. Like that's the piece
yeah,
right there. I love hearing it. Like there's self-worth in that, correct?
yeah,
There's a
100%.
standard involved in that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and you feel damn good about it. Like that's the thing is
oh,
like
yeah,
until you've proved to yourself and you're the only one that matters too. And once you've proved to yourself that you're doing it, you can't not do it.
yeah,
Right? Like it becomes
oh
addicting
yeah,
in the best way you want to be addicted.
yeah. It becomes habit, addiction, whatever you want to call it, but um yeah, like I love it now. I love everything about like the grind and like getting better. So
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fantastic. Uh so I want to understand. Okay, so you get picked at this U7 every year they pick a U17 group.
yeah, every year U17, and like some guys leave. Like this year is like the weirdest year ever. Like a guy left, Cullen Potter. He's playing on ASU now in college.
Yeah.
He left after his U17 year. He's actually having a good year in college now. And then like no one's ever really done that to leave for college. Like Patrick Kane left after his U17 year when he was there to go play for London. Um, but like yeah, like normally guys stay through 2 years, and unless they're like having trouble, like
Right.
not like don't feel like they're at that level or just like depressed or something. But
But does the team do that? Okay, that's one thing I thought that I was told or understand. So you make that U17 team.
yeah,
Are you like an automatic for the following year? Or do they
yeah,
try out again?
yeah, automatic 2 years.
Okay.
Like some guys like Danny Nelson, who's Islanders prospect, plays at Notre Dame now. Like he didn't even go the whole U17 year. He was playing high school in Maple Grove, and Grayson Sachin, who was there, he like left due to like he didn't know if he could play like for IHF USA because he's like Canadian American.
Yeah.
So he decided like I'm gonna leave. So then they needed to add a guy, and Danny Nelson was like, I'm in, like I'll go. I didn't
Right.
even get invited to that 40-man tryout camp, and he ended up being like the fourth forward drafted off that team. So
Right. So I was wondering that because that's obviously I wouldn't call it a hole. Maybe that's the wrong way to put it, but that's why some guys get missed because there is so much development that happens outside of that program
Yeah.
too, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
you might not be good enough at that U17 age group, but 12, 15 months later, guys can really change, right?
And
But
that's also kind of the thing, like guys, when you're at the program, you want to get better too, because you don't want like guys on the outside of the program, like they see that, like the guys that get better are the guys that don't make that, and like, oh, like I take that personally, like I want to get better. Like Trevor Connolly example, like he's always been good.
yeah,
It wasn't at the program though, and I mean he's a stud. Like,
yeah, yeah,
um, but I mean there's plenty of other players that are like
yeah.
that.
So every year, so it's a 2 year cycle. Every year they bring in a new group, and then I was looking at your experience there, and this is what I want you to share with me. So you had NTDP, so National Team
Yeah,
Development Program, 54 games, and
yeah.
then USHL 32 games. So how was that
Yeah.
separated? Where are you playing what?
So was this last year or my first
That
year?
was 22, 23.
So that was my U17 year. So that was we played like 4 or 5 North American League games at the beginning of the year, and then we have 3 international tournaments where we're playing like Canada. Well, we played in the U17 Challenge, so that was like 7 games, I think, where they had 3 Canada teams, and then Finland brought their team, Canada or Sweden brought their team. I think Czechia brought their team, and then we had 2 other 5 nation tournaments with like Switzerland, Czechia, Finland, and Sweden, and then us. But
Okay, so there's a
those
lot of
are the
tournaments
other
during
games.
the season. Then is that what goes
Yeah,
on?
yeah,
Yeah. And
and
then
so
the league that you're playing in the home league, like the circuit, is actually the USHL.
yeah. So then we play playoffs in the USHL, which is the older U18 team and the U17 team. They combine their records, and if it's like meets the criteria to make the playoffs in the USHL, the U18 team goes to U18 Worlds, and the U17 team gets a chance to play in the playoffs, which normally a lot of times doesn't happen just because the records combined aren't good enough.
Yeah.
But we were fortunate to make the play. We almost got a bye actually. My U17 year, we had U18 team had 2 games against the Steel. If they won one game, got one more point, we would have been a bye. Like, and then Youngstown would have been the 3rd seed who ended up winning the league that year.
Yeah.
But they got swept by the Steel. Celebrini was on that team. He had like a hattie both games. And then we had a chance against Youngstown to get a point. We got swept by them. So then we played Cedar Rapids in the first round, got swept. But so that
Yeah.
was cool, like playoff hockey. Like I've never played a series before that. So
Yeah. And so and just so I understand everybody listening, so that means this is a team of 16-year-olds in the best junior league in the United States playing against 19, 20,
yeah.
age guys, right? And that's why this team, even though you're the best 23 in America, you're still 3 years younger than the majority of these players, and it's pretty stiff competition.
Oh yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Okay, so that makes sense. So that team obviously does markedly better the next year when they're all a year older.
Yeah.
And,
So
and,
then
and
the next year we played half like USHL like the first year and then half college games. So
oh,
I think
really?
last year I think our team played like 17 college games or something. So
Wow.
like we got to play like they're obviously exhibition games and stuff, but like for us it's like the coolest thing. Like we played at Ralph Engelstad Arena, like 12,000 people there. Went to overtime and beat them. So like that was super cool experience. And
That
then
is
two
cool.
nights later we're playing at the Mariucci in front of like 10,000 people. So
What college is that? I'm not familiar. I mean, I know those names
the
are
Gophers, North Dakota, and then the
okay.
Gophers. Sorry,
Nice,
yeah,
nice. Yeah,
yeah.
that's super cool. Uh, so when does the so then does that mean you avoided the draft then because you're with like the USHL draft because
Yeah.
in the program?
So yeah, the way that works is you can't. I'm sure maybe you can draft like the guys out of the program, but I don't think there'd really be a point to.
Right, you just be wasting a
Yeah,
pick
because then
essentially.
like 2 years later, you can use a phase 2 draft on those kids.
Yeah.
Because like my team, I think we have the most ever that went from NTDP and now went back to the USHL for at least a year. Like, so like there's the phase 2 draft where the older kids get picked,
Yeah.
and so like guys on my team like decided not to go to college and then are playing another year in the USHL.
Interesting. But I would assume that entire team is committed somewhere in the
Yeah.
NCAA.
We
Yeah.
had a couple guys that went major junior and are now playing in the O too.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Just going to take one more short break from my conversation with Max Plante to give a shout out to the UMH 68 Invitational. This is my branded event that lives underneath the Up My Hockey umbrella that brings together the best players in their age group in the province. And we take care of the mind, we take care of the body, and we also take care of the hockey over a 4-day development experience. And super proud of this event. It's gone over so well in BC that we decided to expand into Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba this year. And really excited to be bringing these events across Western Canada. One thing we are doing right now is we're looking for provincial sponsors. Each province has one title sponsor spot for on a provincial level. This will get your company, your brand aligned with a best-in-class event like Up My Hockey. It's going to support the growth and development of youth players across Western Canada, and it will also allow registration fees to stay low. We are offering so much value at this event, and we want to make sure that the athletes that are invited are able to come. So if you have a corporation, if you have a brand, if you have a business in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, or Manitoba, and you'd like to be involved in the UMH 68 Invitational as a sponsor and be associated with this great holistic event that supports the development of the person as well as the player, then by all means, please reach out to Up My Hockey at upmyhockey.com. Fill out a contact form or reach out to me directly, Jason at upmyhockey.com. You can get in touch with me, and we can talk about what that sponsorship would entail, where those sponsorship dollars would go, and what that association and collaboration looks like. So definitely in the market for that right now, having conversations as we speak. But if this sounds like this aligns with you and your company and your philosophy and how you want to support local hockey, provincial hockey, then by all means, we would love to have a conversation. Now let's get back to the conversation with Max Plante.
Yeah.
How about from a parent side? Is there a check that needs to be written to the U.S. National Hockey to be in that program, or do they take care of everything?
No, I think like all people that are paying for USA Hockey pay for the NTDP.
Right.
And then like parents pay for like billets, like kind of like any junior team, like so they can go buy groceries and stuff for the kids. But
so it really is a huge opportunity then, right? It takes finances out of the picture for the majority of families, so that's pretty important.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's exciting. What and that program though is separate from the World Junior program, so you would get an invite from your team along with all these other players to see who makes that squad, right?
Yeah, that's normally the older players. Like I think we had everyone from college except for like 3 OHL guys on our team this year. But yeah, kind of similar. Like I'd say there was like, I don't know the exact number, but there was like 17 guys that played on the NTDP on that team.
Yeah. Was that was something that your brother didn't do, right?
Yeah. No.
Okay. So your dad did, but he never did. So how was that experience for you? Was that the ultimate kind of thing you wanted to do as a junior player?
Yeah. Like for me, like growing up, and everyone dreams about the World Juniors. Like it's always on like after Christmas, and like for me, I always thought those kids, like once again, like they're so much older. Like for me, the fact that like it's already passed and like over with, and I've already played, and like I have a gold medal sitting right next to me. It's like, I'll grab it.
Yeah, grab it.
Right here.
Look at that bad boy.
Like the fact that happened, like, and for me, like, and I've never not made like a team that I've like wanted to make, like had in my mind that I can make that team. And so like when I didn't, so I don't know if I told you, but I broke my wrist earlier this year. So like, obviously, like in the summer, they have like a summer showcase for the World Junior team, kind of like just to see where guys are at and playing together and stuff. And so I thought I had a really good like camp and like played good. And coming in the year, like first game, like had a good start, like, and then last shift of the game, broke my wrist. So I'm like, oh, like what does this mean for not only the season? Like the season's so short, we only get so many games. So obviously can't have my team for the games I'm out, and then a World Juniors too. Like I'm like as soon as I can find out like fastest I can be back and like what I can do to get back, just because I wanted that opportunity, right? And so I got back for I got back for a weekend before like the tryout list came out for like they make like 3 more cuts after that.
Yeah.
And I was playing with like a brace on, like a big like a cast. So I can't even like move my wrist really, but I came back in my first weekend. I thought I had like a pretty good weekend, and the list came out after that, so I was kind of like disappointed. Like I'm back now, like I can make this team. Like, just playing with like some fire. Like our team isn't doing greatest at UMD, and trying to just like help our team. And then the next weekend we're playing in Arizona State, and like the list came out, and I'm kind of playing like ticked off. Like obviously just trying to prove people wrong. Like
Yeah.
they want to be there and stuff, but so. So I'm 0-3 at the time. Like going to ASU, like I need to win some college hockey games, like whatever I can to do. First game, like we played a good hockey game, like we outshot them like 2-1, and we lost that game. So Saturday night, I'm like just still in a bad mood. Like, what can we do to like try and get?
Hadn't won a game yet in your college
Still
career.
haven't won a game. Still haven't won a game yet.
Yeah.
So Saturday night, I'm like going like just like balls to the wall, like playing hard. Me and my brother both scored, tied at 2-2 to go to overtime. We are down like 2-0, like third period. We go to overtime, like made a couple plays, weren't going in. Like my brother, one-time bomb pipe, one-time bomb crossbar, like backdoor play. Like come on, and then they go down, score on the other net. So I'm just like, and this was our last 2 games before Christmas break. So I'm not going to play for another month. And I'm gonna watch like the World Junior team and all my boys a couple guys I played on the program, and like wanting to be there. So I'm like all ticked off. Like I travel home. One of the kids on my team, Adam Kleber, he was going to try out. I'm like, because I wasn't gonna see him before he went. I was like, good luck. Like have a blast. Like go make that team, win gold. So I'm like kind of just like like whatever. Like I'll be fine. Like when we get back. And so 0-5 in my college career at the point. And the next day I wake up. This is Monday morning from Van Beesbrook, who like head of USA Hockey and picking the World Junior team, and he's like, I'm just wondering if he's calling me just to say like, this is why we didn't take you. Like, we felt like at the time like we didn't know.
Yeah, you thought that ship had sailed.
Yeah, I thought totally.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're gonna make an extra forward for camp. Like, you deserve it. And I'm like, I still haven't won like a game. Like, I'm not like I'm super like doing anything super special, but. Made that, and I was still wearing like my cast. Like I was playing the games, like I couldn't move my wrist. I'm just like saucing pucks, like I can't shoot. So I'm like, all right, I'm taking this thing off. Like it's still broken, but I'm just gonna tape it up and do whatever I can. So then I get there for the trial, like still not knowing I'm making it, and like just like so cool how fast things can happen, right? Like you're never out of situations, and I'm just so thankful like the opportunity. And then I ended up making the team, but like. We played 2 exhibition games after the final roster came out, and we still had to scratch a guy. And there's still an extra forward. And the first 2 exhibition, I was like the second extra forward. Just like doing what I can. Played 6 minutes both games. So I'm thinking like, all right, I'm just not going to play. I'll just be with the team. Like obviously ready to play if they need me, but
yeah.
Then the morning skater, I can't remember morning skater practice before the game. I got put on a line, and I was like, all right. Like I'm getting a chance. And then first game I played, had an assist. Like sick. I had an assist in the World Junior. Still not realizing like I'm there.
Right.
Like because it was so fast. Like 1 week and all of a sudden now I'm there.
Yeah.
After going like putting it through my mind that I'm not gonna be there. Just doing what I can during that. Like I had plans over break. I was gonna go to Chicago, hang out with my dad, go to South Dakota with my grandparents. And now I'm in Canada playing under 18,000 people at the World Juniors. And then the second game, scored a goal. So 2 games, 2 points. I was playing like 10 minutes or whatever. Just
is
trying
that in the exhibition now, or is that in the tournament?
No, this is real games now.
Oh, okay.
We played Germany and then Latvia.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd never played like that role before. I'd never not played power play, not played penalty kill.
Yeah.
And so I was playing neither. Like I was just strictly 5-on-5. Scored a goal. Like it's so cool experience. And then the next night, like that night, we played back-to-back. We played Finland the next game. And, like, I thought I played 2 pretty good games. Like, we had 3 guys that weren't power play or penalty kill. And so I was like, all right, those two got scratched already. And so that night they didn't tell me, but they put the rosters out and I wasn't playing. So
After you scored.
after I scored. So I was like, all right, like, guess maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was been playing, but watching from the stands the next game, our team lost to Finland. And so like, all right, I got to get back in the lineup now.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me the goods. How did you really handle that? Because I've been in your shoes. Like,
Yeah.
you scored a goal, limited minutes. You have to feel like you were a big contributor, and now you get scratched. Like, give me the real goods and how you responded there.
For me, like, I was kind of like, obviously everyone gets mad. Like,
Yeah.
not gonna just be like, whatever. Like, but for me, it was like, all right, like, coming to the tournament, I wasn't really even like, I was the second extra forward. Like, I was supposed to get cut. Obviously, I knew, like, I always have had that inner confidence. Like, whenever I can be out there, like, I can make plays, and like, I know that. But like, looking at other person's perspective, like, these other guys haven't been playing bad hockey either. Like, knowing that deep down, like, I can play. But yeah, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and like, I was literally about to put my phone down to go to sleep for the game the next day, and it came out. So I was like, like, now what am I doing tomorrow? Am I going to skate? Like, after like it hit like midnight, I was like, I kind of got over it. Like, whatever I can do for the team now. And so the next day,
that's a lesson, everyone there listening, right? Like, you're gonna feel the feels. Like, it's okay to be mad, it's okay to be upset, but then we got to switch gears, right? So it doesn't affect you in the locker room the next day. It doesn't affect the team. You know what I mean? It got to put you in the right headspace to be able to get yourself back in the lineup.
Yeah, and for me, that was the first time I've ever been scratched for anything. Like, I've never not.
Yeah.
Like, I've always had injuries, like, where I've been missed. So that's kind of what it felt like when I was in the stands. Like, I'm not playing because I'm injured. Like, I should be out there, but really, I was a scratch. And so like, yeah, next day, like, we had a workout. Like, the guys that weren't playing, skate. Like, the team wasn't there. And then got to the rink, like, watched the game. Like, you're still with the team. You're still on the bus with the guys on the way to the game. You're still in the locker room after the game. So you're going through like the hardship and stuff.
Yeah.
But also with that feeling like I'll be back in there. Like, and it was kind of good too, because like actually the first game I messed up my hip flexor or my hip, and like after the first game I was like, I don't even know if I can move anymore. So like the whole time I was just icing, stimming my hip, wrapping it, and like just trying to get back to play. So I think me getting scratched actually might have been like benefit, because it was 2 more days rest that I got just to get it back for when we played Canada the next day. I was like, I gotta play that game. Like, that's gonna be special. And that was an unbelievable like experience. Like, we're on the ice for warm-ups and every single seat in the house is filled. Like, this is 30 minutes before the puck drop. And every seat's filled, and we were on the ice. Canada, I don't know why, but every game they come out for warm-ups late. Like, I don't know if it's just to like intimidate their team or whatever. But like, we were out on the ice going through the drills, and all of a sudden Canada comes out, and it was just like erupted so loud. Like, I'd never been like I was actually talking to someone at the time they came out, and like face to face, I couldn't even hear what they were saying to me. It was so loud. But so that game was cool, and then
what a feeling, hey?
Yeah,
biggest game probably of your career at that point, right?
Oh yeah, like obviously UST and Worlds was big. Like, we lost in the championship to Canada, so like I have like in my heart, like I hate Canadians. I hate Hockey Canada and stuff. So anytime I get to play Canada, I get fired up. Like, I'll get in the guy's ear. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that meant a lot to me, just to be able to play them in Canada and beat them in Canada.
But, I believe it.
Yeah. So then we won that game. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stay in the lineup hopefully. But I didn't know. Like, I don't know. Like, it's the best guys in the country. Like, they could pull a guy in, pull a guy out. So, yeah, I played every other game. Semifinals we won, and like our group of guys was awesome. Like, I knew a lot of the guys because they were 05s at NTDP, and like they won U18 Worlds. Like, guys that won last year, gold medal. So like they're winners. Like, they know how to win. They're just calm, like in the moment. and that was new for me. Like I still haven't won a college hockey game the whole year.
Right.
So I'm 5 games into playing at the World Juniors, and I've won 5 games, and now I'm in the championship already. And first or second shift of the championship game, I take a penalty, score on the penalty. We're down 1-0, and I'm like, oh boy, like what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
Then we're down like 3-1, and like our bench is just like no one's yelling at anybody. Like we're just sitting there like playing hockey. Like we just need a bounce. Like because Finland was actually, I don't know if you watched the game, but they were kind of dominating us for the first half of the game
Yep.
until like halfway through the second period. We just started to just pound them. Like, our coach has made an adjustment on like because what they were doing, they were bringing it back with their D and they were sucking us like kind of because we wanted not to let them in the zone with speed, so we were kind of holding back. And once we pushed up like our D and our forwards so that they couldn't come in with like one seam pass, like all of a sudden we were just making them dump it. Like every time they dumped it, and we'd get it back, go back into their zone. And so that was like I've never been in like really a game like that where the tide turns and like all of a sudden we're playing in their zone every shift. Like, and then obviously the goal that Laboda scored, I got the puck, like threw it down to him. I'm just going to the net. He like throws like some muffin, like just dump like guys on him. He's just dumping it in, and like the bounce that we needed, like just all of a sudden like that, like goal. Cole Hudson does what he does and just dangles a guy, goes pipe in, snipe, like just so special. So now we're tied 3-3, and going into the third period, like we have a whole period to score a goal and win. Didn't score, goes to overtime, and still in the locker room, like guys are still like making jokes, like.
Really?
I'm like, geez, like this is unbelievable. Like we're playing World Junior Championship game. We're we're going to overtime. There's Zam in the ice, and we're in the locker room making jokes. And like that just shows how loose and like how like inner confidence that we had that we could do it.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if they touched the puck the whole overtime. Like our guys had it on a string, and then Teddy Steegs, who scored the overtime winner. Like we were going to Chipotle like 2 days before. And we were talking about like how like I was like, yeah, I scored an overtime goal once. That was in high school. He's like, yeah, I've never scored an overtime goal before. Like, I don't know what I'd do if like Sally or anything. It happens. He gets on the ice and he gets a breakaway and scores. And I'm like, I couldn't even believe it. Like best buds at NTDP and stuff. But
That's super cool. So it couldn't happen to a better guy, I heard. Hey.
Oh, so special. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get on the ice in overtime?
No, I think I was going next shift, but I didn't even care.
Right. Because did anyone were you with that call? Were you feeling excited, pressure about like getting out there in that moment?
Obviously, yeah, but like I'd already played in the game, like the same game I stepped on the ice before, like for like 5 other shifts. And third period, our line was actually going. Like they just kept rolling. I was playing with Laboda and Connolly. They switched their line a little bit. And so I felt like I was having a good game, like playing in the offensive zone every shift and stuff. So I was like, I want to get out there. Like, I want to make a play, try and do something to help this team. Like, if I don't, who cares? Like, there's so many good players. But, yeah, like the fact that Steegs did it, like the stat I found funny after, like it was his first shot on goal the whole tournament. And he scores it in overtime in the gold medal game. But for me, like, it was kind of just surreal. Like, we win it, like, 3 weeks before that, I didn't even know I was going to be there. Like I was planning on being in South Dakota hunting with my brother over Christmas break.
Right.
But yeah, like such a cool like experience. And then that night we come home or back to the hotel. Everyone's on the bus at 6 a.m, going their separate college routes. Like I haven't even seen anyone since other than the guys I've played against in college. So, it was like almost like a dream, like how fast it happened.
So and it was straight back to college. It wasn't, you didn't go back to your hometown. Like no one you didn't get to celebrate with anybody. It's just straight back.
Yeah.
You must've been a little bit of a hero's welcome when you got back, I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool. Like my phone was like going off the hook. And then when I got home, like talked to like my little cousin plays in Hermiton organization for Pee-wees. Like went and showed their team the medal, talked to them before the game. High school team, they did like a ceremony for me. So like it was super cool just in the small town I grew up in, like people were watching and cheering me on. So it was unbelievable.
Well, congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I love that you're so honest with the fact that you just hate Hockey Canada and playing against
Oh
the
yeah.
Canadians.
Oh yeah. Screw Canadians.
Isn't that the best part of it though? Like I think that's like I don't know. I just love like I love the country on your chest and like that rivalry. You know,
Yeah.
it means something.
Yeah. And for me, I never experienced that until like last year at U18 Worlds. Like our team, I still believe we were easily the best team in that tournament, and we didn't win the tournament. Like we outshot Canada like 2-1. Like they didn't score a goal other than on the power play. They had 4 power plays or something, and they scored all 4 goals on the power play. And like we walked through that tournament, and all of a sudden we're championship. We're like expecting to win, didn't win. And just seeing them like put that medal around their chest, and like with the guys we'd been with for 2 years, they'd been together for 2 weeks, just for that tournament. I was with the same group of guys for 2 years. Just like that's the end tournament. Like that was our end goal. Like coming to U17 year to try and win that, and obviously Canada takes it from us, and they didn't even have some of the guys that people said should be on that team. But so since then, like, yeah, I just want to, every time I want to play Canada, and I want to just beat them. I don't even care how, but yeah.
Love it. I love it. And that's why it's so great that the Four Nations is coming back too. Like all that stuff, the international.
Yeah, and even like the draft, like our team who had a bunch of good players, I feel like there was like, I don't know, like it felt like 20 or 30, like all of them were Canadian getting drafted in the first round. Our team had like 2. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, screw these Canadians. Like, you tell me there's 20 better guys here, but whatever.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, well, we're almost running out of time, but I want to talk about the a little bit about your experience now playing with your brother, Minnesota Duluth. Like what? Like your dad went there. I mean, obviously it's a family thing, I guess. Like, was there ever any question that you weren't going to go there?
No, I always wanted to be a Bulldog. Like growing up, the Bulldogs were always like the best team in the nation too. Like 2011, they started it. They won a national championship, and that was like my earliest memories of like life in general.
Yeah.
They won it, and then they won again. They lost that second and 17, and 18-19 they won it again. And that was like right in my like Hermantown, like looking up to all these guys. Got to be there for one in Buffalo. So I like for me, like my heart, I'm a Bulldog. Like couldn't see myself playing.
You bleed Bulldog.
Yeah. So always a dream, like trying to get guys from my NTDB team to come to UMD. No one would budge. No one wanted to come, but yeah, and it's so cool because like growing up, like I'd come to the rink as like my dad's kid, and like looking at these guys like this, like Scott Prunovich, Justin Falk, like these guys are so cool. And now I'm putting on the Bulldog sweater, going out for warm-ups, doing the same thing they did, like living in the same apartment I'm sure those guys did when they were freshmen. It's been unreal so far. And I get to be roommates with my brother too, so even more special. Even the fact that I can't stand him pretty much 23 or 24 hours out of the day, but just like not many people get that opportunity. So yeah, it's been super special, and now we're starting to find it too. Like we've won since I've been back. We've won 4 out of the 6 games since I've been back against 3 ranked teams. So starting to win games now, which is so much more fun, so much better.
Yeah, love it. Congrats on a great start. Looks like from a production standpoint, the stat sheet looks great right now for you.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I've been really fortunate, but yeah, we're excited to keep things going, keep better every day. And
so you're healthy now?
Yeah, I'm back. Wrist, I still tape up my wrist and stuff, but I'm healthy. I'm feeling good, and kind of take for granted like injuries suck. Like one day you're like just taking every day for granted. Like show up to the rink, do the same thing. I don't really need to like maybe work on that area like today, but then you get hurt, and it's like all I can do is this thing to get better, and like I want to be able to do so much more. And you show up to the rink like you're not with the team when they travel. You're not like with the team when they're on the ice battling against each other. You're not with the team when they're losing games, not with the team when they're winning games. Like you're there, but you're not doing anything like to make anyone else better. Like so, like that was hard for me. Just like watching in the stands, like losing games, and just like the fire burning inside. Like knowing I want to do something, knowing I want to say something, but I had never even play a game. I don't know. Like I want to produce out there. So then when I got back, like that was probably the biggest fire inside me to like just work as hard as I can and try and help this team in any way I can. But I guess that's kind of just natural for me in the way I was raised with like my mom and dad being like all in on whatever they did in their life. But yeah, I just say like winning's unreal. Like you can't beat winning, and life's so much better with winning. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I mean, good lesson with the injuries. I mean, I can totally relate as a player.
yeah,
I mean, you get in the monotony of the day to day, and you can take health for granted for sure, right? You
yeah,
can have a 3-3 or whatever. I remember as a pro, and whatever, got to bed late and rolled into the town late, and maybe didn't give your best effort, and then all of a sudden you're out of the lineup because something happened to you, and you just can't believe that you took that game for granted,
yeah.
right? Now you're fighting through something.
Oh my
So
gosh,
yeah.
it sucks.
Definitely something to reflect on. I think that's something when you've been through it. I think you can be more grateful and be more present when you are healthy, and
Yeah,
make sure that we're giving her everything we had. How hard is that league as a true freshman that you're playing in right now?
yeah. Like obviously stronger and better, and like for me, like it's not like the skill in the USHL is like good. Like I honestly think like just as good as any major junior league in Canada, and so obviously college hockey is even a bigger like league than just the USHL. So there's guys from like the BC, there's guys from USHL, but they're all older, stronger. Like you got 26-year-old on my team.
Yeah,
Like like that guy's like that's gonna be me in what 8 years. Thinking what am I gonna be doing in 8 years? This guy's playing college still,
right.
and I just think it's like you can't learn that stuff other than maybe pro hockey, opposed to like that. And obviously, like the skills, like there, like I feel like I'm just as skilled as anyone in the league. But like there's a guy that'll just run me over. Like I get hit a lot. Like I ran over. But yeah, it's a great league. Like NCHC's known for winning. Like I think out of since NCHC was made, like they've won like 7 times or something like that. But
Right.
um, college hockey's awesome. Like just like the fact that you get to go to school with kids and then all of a sudden they're fans of your games. I hate school. I wish I didn't have to go to school, but I guess it's part of it. Um, but yeah,
You're
it's
an
really
honest guy. I like it.
cool. Yeah.
So what about speaking of honesty? So what if the Red Wings said, "Hey, we think you're ready. We want you to come to Kent next year and sign a contract." Are you so you're gone?
I mean, I don't know. Like if I guess I'd have to see what situation I'm in. Like, they
And is that the step before I'm going to cut you off in your answer there? Like, is that the step? Like, as far as you guys that were drafted that now go to college,
yeah,
you get your 4 years unless you choose not to,
yeah.
right? Is
Unless
that
you
how it
want to
goes?
sign AHL, NHL. Yeah, I guess like I'd have to see where I'm at in the time. Like if I feel like ready and I feel like I'm at that level,
Yeah,
like for sure. But if I feel like I want to go play another year in UMD and win some more games, like hopefully be like the top dog for another year, like
yeah,
that could totally be an option. But um, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I
uh,
guess if you're, I mean, for you, it's a development. The NCAA is a development league in your
yeah,
opinion, in your mind for the NHL, right? So to sign to go to the AHL probably wouldn't be something that you'd want to do if you're ready to go to
not
the end.
not next year,
Yeah,
maybe the year after, but I don't know. Like
right.
it's still
Yeah,
like so far. Like I have to talk to like people about it. Like
sure. Yeah,
talk to management to see where I'm at. They think I'm at, like who I'm playing with. Like
it's a great answer, man.
so much goes into it.
It's a great answer. Play where your skates are, like we said earlier, right? Keep helping your team win right now, and the rest is going to take care of itself
Yeah.
for sure. Well, you know what? I'm gonna cut this off. I think we could probably talk for another hour. You're a
Oh, yeah.
blast to chat with, man. It's been
Yeah.
totally fun to get to know you. All the best from the Western Canada here, from a Canadian
Yeah.
with the gold medal right over there.
Uh,
So at least we got something in common when it comes to
yeah.
that. But I wish you nothing but the best. I think what USA Hockey is doing is great. I think Hockey Canada should be following the lead with you guys a little bit. You got some good stuff going on there, and the proof is in the talent that you guys are producing, and you're part of that, buddy. So great job.
One thing I will say though, like Canada's special, like going to the World Juniors and like how much everyone in the whole city knew what was going on. Like we went to mass on Christmas Eve and
Yeah,
the priest came by and walked by and was like, um, yeah, like good luck. Or he goes, I'm praying for you guys. Praying for you guys to come home with silver. I'm like, what? this guy? And he didn't say anything to anyone his whole walk all the way up to the front. He just came to us and was like, I'm praying for you guys to come home with silver. Like crazy stuff.
Oh, that priest is legendary. I love it.
So that's why I think Canada's so cool. Like, if we could get that in like all 50 states in America, like that'd be like a dream. Just like kind of like football, like is or like basketball, but
yeah, it's like that in Minnesota, isn't it? Though, like
yeah, for the most part, yeah. But like I thought it was so cool, like just hockey. Yeah. Like everyone knows what's going on.
Everyone knows what's going on. You're right. Yeah, it's in our blood for sure. We're trying to keep up. You guys put us in our place here a couple years in a row. So there's a lot of talk up here about what's wrong, right? What's wrong? Yeah, what are we doing wrong?
That's another thing. Like so much pressure on those kids, like just getting ripped. Like I during the tournament, I'd open my phone. It was just guys getting ripped on Canada.
It's tough, right? 19-year-olds, crazy, man.
Crazy.
I know. Anyways, well, you do you. You keep doing you. I love following the Plant family. Say hi to your dad for me if I don't do it myself, and I'll be following you and your brothers for sure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today for episode 150 with Max Plant. That was a blast. I legitimately laughed out loud. I'm not even sure how many times. So if you were anything like me, you must have had a few chuckles yourself. Max was a riot. Just raw, authentic, enthusiastic, outgoing, like such a cool conversation with an 18-year-old who wants to be an NHL player. Oftentimes, conversations with players of that age do not go that way. I've worked with many players that that are in that age bracket, and sometimes the willingness to communicate isn't quite there. But boy, Max did not share that quality. Was super fun. I loved him poking fun at his brother, and the line down between the two beds, and his he sure wasn't shy about sharing his feelings about Canada, and I know where that comes from. So no offense taken. I hope none of you have any offense taken, my Canadian listeners. That's just a good American kid who has found some fire in his belly and wants to beat up on Team Canada as he should. So I know we felt the same way about the Americans when we played them. So it keeps the rivalry strong and keeps the passion there. And I know there's going to be lots of good battles for him in the future between the red and white and the blue, white, and red. So yeah, lots of fun and lots of great stories there. What he's been through, what he's going through, his journey and his development path are all things that I know that you out there can use and can abide by. I love the idea of him taking so much pride in being a part of the program, as he called it, and how hard they make it. And that's not for everybody. It really isn't. That isn't for everybody. But if you can wire yourself that way, and if you can find the mental toughness and the fortitude to be able to push through and to then take pride in the fact that you can push through and you will push through, and this just becomes a way that you operate, you do build this idea of bulletproofness and being invincible. And there's massive amounts of power in that, and that's internal power, right? That's where the fortitude comes from, and the resiliency that you feel that you can handle anything because you've been handling everything since the time that you can remember. And yeah, you can see that in his eyes. There's a belief there, that he's on the right path, and I do believe that he will accomplish some great things. It's awesome to see. We didn't have a chance to talk much about the Hudsons or the Hugheses really at all, and I guess nor should we have. But it's just crazy to me that these three brother combinations keep seeming to show up, and the Plants are next on the horizon. Zam has a bright future. Obviously, Max is doing great things, and how he was so proud of his little brother was really, really cool. And it sounds like Victor's on his way to following in his brother's footsteps. So lots of fun there. Derek, if you're listening, you got one awesome kid. I'm sure the other two are just as great. It was a lot of fun to talk with him, and I'm sure you're proud of all your boys, and you must be doing a great job there. So awesome job, Planter. Thanks for connecting me. And anyways, for everyone out there, thanks again for listening. Thanks for being a part of the family here at Up My Hockey. And until next time, play hard and keep your head up.